Heyo, everybody, and well, welcome to something a bit different. This is gonna be like me ranking all the overclocks in like a general go through, and probably just to start out, I will say that this isn't going to be like, hey, combat mobility is better than return to sender or anything like that, because I'm not going to be looking at it like that. I'll be looking at it on a per gun basis, so like the best overclocks on the gun will probably be, in A tier or something like that. Meanwhile, things Inferno or something like that will be closer to, whatever. But in my opinion, most overclocks in the game are viable in Hazard 5, and you can run them if you want. You can run just a basic gun, no overclocks in Hazard 5, and still be fine. So, in my eyes, things are going to be typically probably a bit better than what other people are going to be saying. And then there's going to be things like clean overclocks where they're just gonna all go into their own separate tier because they're clean, and they are a slightly better than base gun, yet they're still clean and they don't provide very much, though there is some exceptions to that rule, and I truly do believe they are some of the best that the gun has to offer, which is a mild problem if a clean is the best that a gun has to offer. But in any case, we're here to start with Gunner's overclocks. Starting out, we're going through the balanced, and starting out we have exhaust vectoring. Exhaust vectoring is, for me, it's a B tier because of what it offers. It's kind of a boring overclock, in all honesty. I kind of hope it gets, like, reworked at some point. It's very boring. It's outclassed by another overclock that Gunner has, and it's just provides a +2 damage, and like your base spread gets a lot wider. It's very boring. It's because it's just straight damage, and that's it. That's all it has to bring to the table. Now, it is still a very good overclock, and if I don't want to run its bigger brother, I run this, or I run Burning Hell, and that's all that exhaust vectoring is it's kind of a third-rate option in this place. Next up is Carpet Bomber. Carpet Bomber got hit with a nerf come update 34, and it's still kingpin shit. Yes, it is less kingpin shit, and yes, it does have other side things that you can take, but it is still a very good option for what you want to do. It's definitely specializing in one specific area, and specialization in this game is actually very good. Next, we have Combat Mobility. Combat Mobility actually got buffed. I used to think it was a side grade, and now it slightly got buffed, so it's now a true, probably a little bit better than base gun. I won't say it's a side grade anymore, because now it has an increased rate of fire instead, and it is honestly, for what it is, it's combat mobility. It gives you a lot of combat mobility, and it makes it so that you can fire faster. Who wouldn't want that? Next up is Volatile Bullets. Volatile Bullets got hit with a hefty buff. Like, it was already good before. Maybe I would have put it in, like, B tier because the negative side was a bit too much. But now it is definitely an A tier object. Like, why did they buff it to the degree that they did? For those of you who don't know, back in Update 33, it had a -25 damage penalty on it, from 50 damage to, like, 25 damage. That's how much damage this thing did. And then base gun got buffed to do 60 damage on a shot, or, it does... Yeah, it's stupid. And plus, the overclock got buffed in the fact that now it no longer minuses your damage by 25, it minuses it by 10. This thing is insane at the current moment, and it is still... Why does it even exist? So 6-shooter, pre-update 34, it would be an A tier, and now it's just been knocked down a slight peg. It was... I believed it was slightly overperforming, with having it dump its whole entire mag, and having a bunch of ammo to go with it. Dumping the entire mag in like half a second, and deleting a Praetorian is definitely not okay. Like... Yeah, that's not... If a Praetorian dies in half a second from just, like, something going off, there's a problem there. That is my belief with the game. And yes, I do realize that cryo exists, and cryo does almost exactly that. And yes, there is a problem there. But in any case, 6-shooter did get a hefty nerf with a mag being removed from it, essentially, like a whole 6 bullets being removed, and 2 fire rate. It's no longer Kingship Pin, but it is definitely still good. BRT compact mags. I probably should start saying what all these things are on. Combat mobility is for LeadStorm, not LeadStorm. So let's go top. Carpet Bomber is for Thunderhead. Volatile Bullets is for Bulldog. Exhaust Vectoring is for LeadStorm. 6 shooters for Bulldog. Compact mags is for BRT, and combat mobility is for Thunderhead. So, compact mags is a BRT overclock that gives you like 80 more ammo or something like that. It doesn't double your ammo, but it does give you a lot of it. It reduces your fire rate by a slight bit, and something else by a slight bit. I think your reload. But, it's a very good overclock. It is... If I have a lot of ammo problems with BRT at the current moment, and compact mags solves all of this and still lets me retain my damage. It's just a good overclock for what it is at this current moment. If I'm not running my primary overclock for BRT, I'm running compact mags. Next up is experimental rounds. Experimental rounds is for BRT. It increases your damage while minusing your ammo by 30. It did get buffed slightly because it used to do 36, but now it's just 30. And as I've already said, I have ammo problems on BRT, and making them more pronounced because I don't like taking ammo bags. Now, people will say that, hey, you take experimental rounds over LeadSpray because LeadSpray's negatives are too much, and I say, no, they're not. You literally walk up to the bug and press the button to kill it. There you go. And yeah, you can use LeadSpray at a medium to close distance. Experimental rounds you can use to a long, medium, or close distance. It's really that. But experimental rounds is still just okay. I still think compact mags is better than it, and LeadSpray is better than that. Moving on to the last... No, we still have a few. Compact feed mechanism on LeadStorm. It's just okay. It's more ammo at the cost of rate of fire. It's okay. It's not the best. It's definitely still a boring overclock, but at least it's not a damage boring overclock. Next is Burning Hell. Burning Hell got buffed indirectly with all the cooling and all this, all the things that happened to LeadStorm. And also it got indirectly buffed because Volatile Bullets got buffed. And it is now still very good. If you want to deal with swarmers with LeadStorm, it is one of your primary options to deal with swarmers. It's also just a very good overclock. The problem is that it doesn't synergize well with cryo because you'll be either fighting to ignite the thing or cryo it, or you'll be temp shocking it, which is a different spectrum of bad if it's going from frozen to temp shock to flamed. If it's going from flamed to frozen, then it's a different story. But it's still a very good overclock now. It's quite good. Next on the list is all of Gunner's cleans. Composite Drums. It's a clean overclock for a gun. I think it's either LeadStorm or it's Thunderhead. Whichever one, it's a clean overclock, it's more ammo, you can't complain. Next is Splintering Shells. Splintering Shells is a clean, yet I think it's one of the best that this gun has to offer. It is, on Thunderhead, it increases your AoE damage by 1 and increases your AoE radius by like 2 or 3 meters, or 0.2 or 3 meters. It's really good for what it is. It's one of the top 4 overclocks on Thunderhead, and I don't think Thunderhead has any bad overclocks anymore. Next one is Homebrew Powder. Now, this image is a lie to you, because it's actually, it's on Bulldog. It is now a balanced overclock. It does a random damage spread of 75 to 200%. And It's honestly really fun to play with. It's a good overclock. It's fun to play with because A, it's just random chance, and I think it is better than some of the other options that you have for Bulldog at this current moment. Chain hit. Congratulations, chain hit. You're on the Bulldog. You go into clean overclocks. Composite Casings. It's on BRT. That's all I can say about it. Full Chamber Seal. Also on BRT, I believe. It's a damage thing. It's damage. Why don't you just take the other bigger damage? I don't know. Who knows? It's clean. So it's clean. Next is, I think, a little bit more oomph. Now, people will say a little bit more oomph is really good, and you know what? It doesn't belong in the just clean tier of it's really good. It belongs in like C tier or something like that. It's another boring damage overclock for LeadStorm, but it's still good. The reason why it's good is not because of its +1 damage, it's because of its spin-up time. You can actually get the spin-up time to 0.1 seconds, which is really fucking fast. And it's good because of it. Is it better than a lot of the other options? Probably not, but it's definitely good for quality of life for the LeadStorm. Next is Thin Drummed Walls. I believe this is on LeadStorm as well. It like reduces your cooling, it increases your cooling rate and probably gives you more ammo. It's a clean, so you can't really complain about it. And that's the last for Gunner's overclocks for clean. Next we go to Unstable. And starting out, we have Big Bertha. Big Bertha is on Thunderhead. It gives you a massive damage bonus, and it gives you a massive aim increase. It also reduces your max ammo and max magazine size. It's still very good. It's one of the top 4 for Thunderhead, depending on how you want to run it. It's really, really good. If you haven't tried it, definitely go try it. It's good. Next is Neurotoxin Payload for Thunderhead. Hello, we've reached the square of overclocks up there, where it's Big Bertha, Neurotoxin, Splintering Shells, and Carpet Bomber are the best overclocks for it. And really the only two that do similar things are Splintering Shells and Carpet Bomber. Carpet Bomber specializes more than Splintering Shells, but Splintering Shells you don't get the negative that Carpet Bomber has. And then Neurotoxin Payload, you get kind of the negative that Carpet Bomber has, and you get more ammo efficiency over it, but the problem is time to kill. Time to kill is increased with Neurotoxin Payload for its ammo efficiency. It's still a very good overclock, and I'd still put it in A tier. Do I personally like it? No, I don't like the playstyle these overclocks promote. Neurotoxin Payload and like a lot of the other things promote a more passive playstyle, and I don't agree with any of that. Elephant Rounds. Elephant Rounds is a very good overclock that got buffed and nerfed at the same time in Update 34. It lost an ammo. It lost 2 ammo because base gun lost 2 ammo, but the overclock itself got buffed by an ammo. So overall, it still lost an ammo. It gained damage, I guess, but it still lost an ammo overall, and I do think Homebrew Powder is actually better than it, like, overall. Next up on the list, we have Magic Bullets. Magic Bullets is for Bulldog. It makes it so that your bullets ricochet for, like, penalty. It's a really good overclock. It's definitely, so BRT and Bulldog have a strange way of being direct damage, like, hey, I want single target damage, and these guns are both single target. And Magic Bullets breaks it by making your gun AoE, so now it goes better with most LeadStorm builds, and it also goes very well with Big Bertha, since Big Bertha doesn't really it doesn't really do AoE all too well. And if you're doing any of those, you're taking Magic Bullets. It's a very good overclock if you haven't tried it. Yes, it does promote the more passive playstyle because of how it works and how Neuro works, but I can let it slide because of how it's now AoE on a AoE deficient build. Electro minelets. Electro minelets did get buffed from, like, I know I put them on my gunner tier list as, like, B. They got buffed slightly. I still don't think they are worthy of B tier. They did get buffed, so they're no longer, like, in D or F tier. They belong in C. If you haven't tried them, you should. They're definitely good now. But for what I want out of the BRT, I just want straight damage, and I don't want CC. CC belongs to, like, Scout, or your grenades, or Neurotoxin Payload. That is, or Bullet Hell, but that's a little bit weirder. CC, don't mind it. But it's definitely a good overclock if you haven't tried it. Micro Flechettes. I don't think anybody will have arguments about that. Okay, so Micro Flechettes did get buffed. Micro Flechettes is for BRT. It doesn't have your damage anymore. Excuse me, in Update 33, it used to have your damage for double the ammo, which is fucking bananas to me of why it's an overclock, because it just doubles your time to kill. Why would anybody take that? And then in Update 34, it got buffed, so now it's not a flat half damage, it's now just a minus 11 damage, which is still bad, and most of the time it's half damage, unless you go like full damage, which then you end up with, used to you had 11.5, and now you have 16 damage. It is still, I think it's still bad, because it just increases your time to kill with no real benefit. Like, part of me wants to put it into a side grade, but I don't like it. I played with it, I play with it, because I've been doing a rubber bullets build, and I've been playing a lot of rubber bullets because I just think that build's fun, even though I think it's straight up trash. But I cannot bring myself to, like, actually put it in the level with base gun. I think it is legitimately worse than base gun. Next, on the opposite side of the spectrum, for BRT is LeadSpray. This is full damage LeadSpray, or BRT. This right here is my bread and butter. I love this thing to death. I think it's stupid, but I love it to death, and it has a real good purpose of taking your time to kill into like half as... Basically, if a oppressor is tantruming, you can take this thing and then kill that oppressor before it's done tantruming, and you don't even have to power attack it. It's a really good overclock. If you haven't played with it, take it into an elimination and just play with it. It's a really good overclock. Yes, you do kind of have to get close, but in all honesty, you don't have to get as close as people say. Next, on the opposite side of the spectrum is for LeadStorm, it is Bullet Hell. I don't think anybody's gonna... People might have some difficulties about this, but I straight up think this is trash. This is a fun overclock that is trash. Is it... I think it's legit. It did get buffed, but I still think, even with the buff, it is worse than base gun. Because... Why do I think it's worse than base gun? Is because LeadStorm is a direct damage, it's a single target gun, and you're trying to make it do AoE. And unlike Thunderhead, where it's an AoE based gun and you try to make it do single target and somehow it works out well, this works out terribly because it's a single bullet going into a single grunt, and then that bullet goes into another single grunt. With Big Bertha, you can potentially have your bullet hit 4 different grunts. The direct damage hits one grunt, and then the AoE hits that same grunt, and then 3 other or 2 other grunts. With this, your max damage potential is 2 grunts at any point in time. I think even like blow through, you might be able to hit 3 grunts, but it's still like 7 to 9 damage on those 3 grunts, and you're going to be hitting armor, so it's already 20%, and it's bad. All right, you might stun them, and that's basically it. That's the only benefit that this has over base Thunderhead. I'm not looking at base LeadStorm either. I'm looking at this as base Thunderhead because you're trying to make LeadStorm become base Thunderhead. And it is worse than base Thunderhead. So it belongs in F tier. Congratulations, you're fun to play with, I will say that, but you are bad. You are so bad, I don't even know what it is. LeadStorm, hey! We found the big daddy of them all for LeadStorm. It's the overclock named LeadStorm. It is full damage. Strangely enough, even though it was really good in Update 33, it got buffed because they didn't want any dead builds on it, so now it can actually fully stun. Yeah, that's a problem. It's a really good overclock. If you haven't played with it, you should, because it's most of its downsides, actually its only downside now, it being you can't move during it, is not really a downside. Alright, next up on the list, that is it for all of Gunner's overclocks, and look at this nice little spread. We have quite a lot being an A tier, to be honest, but that's to be expected with just how I play and how I think of things. So, next up on the list, we have lightweight rounds for Stubby. I haven't played with this at all. Okay, any of the Stubby overclocks, besides 3 of them, besides, good job, me. I can't even remember them. EMP Refire Booster, Turret Arc, and Turret EMP Discharge. Any other, like, overclocks have just been overshadowed by them in Update 34. Beforehand, all of them were overshadowed by EMP Refire Booster, and now it's a different era. But moving on, we have compact rounds for PGL. I haven't played with this at all. I'm just gonna be saying that. The PGL also has a problem where I don't think any of the overclocks on it are bad, but there's definitely a lot of them have been overshadowed by other things. And namely, in Update 34, our RJ250 Compound for PGL has overshadowed most of the base PGL overclocks. And when I say base, I mean things that don't excessively change it, like Fatboy or Hyper Propellant. This probably has overshadowed a lot of them. It can still meet a lot of grunt breakpoints, and if you don't meet a grunt breakpoint, it's still going to be taking a hefty chunk of damage. I'm talking 108 damage at the minimum. That is still a chunk of damage for grunts, for grunt slashers, and grunt guards. And your turrets are going to be cleaning up those two. Plus you have teammates to help you out and all that, and you're not going to be using that PGL for Praetorians and anything, and this isn't even talking about its utility. Its utility is to yeet you across the ground, and this is basically, just think of it as a dash, as a second dash if you run dash, or as a primary dash if you don't. It's a really good overclock. You should play with it if you haven't. You'll definitely be seeing what it is. Return to Sender. Return to Sender is okay at best. It's just an overclock. It definitely did get buffed with Explosive Goodbye getting buffed. It's just a problem of since Breach Cutter's nerf, it has just kind of lost its place to a clean. And it's still good. It's still very good. It doubles your ammo. But that's like 24 shots. And you have to use 2 shots at once. Which, with the clean, you don't have to use 2 shots at once. You can use 1 if you really want, which is better for spitballers and all that. High voltage crossover. There you go, high voltage crossover. You're okay. You're literally just a side grade. That's what I think of most Breach Cutter overclocks. You're literally just a side grade. And note, being a side grade to Breach Cutter is still a very good option, but you're still a side grade. Next is Magnetic Pellet Alignment. It is for Warthog, and it is one of the kingpin... It is one of the great overclocks of Warthog. Now, Warthog has a very different problem to a lot of the guns in the game, is that there are no bad overclocks for Warthog. They're all very, very good. Even, like, the worst, which is Stunner, is still a very good overclock. Moving on to EM Refire Booster. This is the best overclock on Stubby still. Now, of course, Turret Arc and EM Discharge are still very good. I just don't think they are the best, since the gimmick for Stubby is you shoot, and that's it. And now you're adding in a different gimmick of you shoot turret, and it does thing. which, yeah, sure, but does that really need to be an overclock? It could be a turret clock. Fuck, move turret whip to the actual turret, and there you go. You have a gun, you have a mod for both Stubby and Warthog. Turret whip. Congratulations, you've buffed it. Again. Don't do that, please don't buff it again. Lightweight magazines. This is a Warthog overclock that did get nerfed slightly, but is still good. I don't think it's as good as most of the other Warthog upgrades. It's probably just the better out of the cleans. It's like, think of it's halfway in between Cycle Overload and MiniShells. That's kind of where it is. I don't think it's better than both of those, but I definitely do think it has a place, and people still do run it. It's okay. Super Slim Rounds. It's a clean. That's all I really have to say. Well-oiled machine. It's also a clean. It's okay. Clean Sweep. Clean Sweep is a clean, and is for PGL. It's okay. It's definitely one of the better. It's definitely one of the better PGL upgrades, and it definitely belongs probably in B, because if you're not running Fat Boy or Hyper Propellant, it belongs in B tier. Pack Rat. Pack Rat is another one where if you're not running Clean Sweep, you're running Pack Rat. There you go. Or you're running RJ250 Compound. One of those is definitely happening. Lightweight Cases. Lightweight Cases is for Breach Cutter. Makes the thing spammable. It's the one that I was talking about whenever we were talking about Return to Center. It is definitely an overclock that if you haven't played with it, it doesn't do it. It doesn't mix up the formula. It doesn't do anything. It's a very boring overclock, which all cleans are very, very boring. But it's still the best, and I think there's a problem whenever a clean is one of the best overclocks for your gun, and Breach Cutter is no exception to that rule. Roll Control. It's a clean. Congratulations. Stronger Plasma Current. It's a Breach Cutter overclock that gives you more damage. Okay. There you go. You're another clean. Next, we're moving on to... Actually, we still have one more. Stunner. Stunner is also a clean, but it is, again, on... It's no. I'm gonna put it in D tier. I don't like Stunner. You have to use a bullet to activate it, because it gives you a stun chance on any part of the body, even the face and all that. And then you gain bonus damage whenever you shoot a stunned bug. You have to use a bullet to activate it, or you have to use a miscellaneous source like Breach Cutter, your turrets, a teammate, or something else to activate it, and then you start doing extra damage. I don't like it. It's still good, but it's just okay. It should be in clean tier, but I've played with it a lot, and it's definitely not... Yeah, it'll just go in clean tier, it's fine. Nobody's going to be hurt by me putting it in a clean tier. Cycle Overload. Cycle Overload is one of these overclocks, one of the king shit overclocks of Warthog. And I don't like it that much. I don't like what it does. I don't like it. I am so used to reloading this damn thing and doing the animation cancel or what have you, or just letting it go through. It increases your reload speed, and that messes with me. And plus, I don't care for it. I think it needs ammo, and I don't think Warthog needs more damage. It already can one-shot grunts with MiniShells, and that literally negates its damage or ammo, or its damage. And yeah, I don't need this. It's still good. Don't get me wrong, but it's not what I need. MiniShells. MiniShells is what I run primarily on Warthog. It did get nerfed to update 34. It got its ammo nerfed by 12, I believe, and it's still good. I never had ammo problems before, and I probably won't have ammo problems now. It's definitely, people don't like it as much as Magnetic Pellet Alignment because MiniShells isn't as consistent as Magnetic Pellet Alignment. Because consistency is one-shotting a grunt, and MiniShells just barely meets that threshold to one-shot a grunt. And people don't like it because of that. My opinion is I don't care if I have to use 2 shells to finish off a grunt. Most of the time, the grunt's going to be damaged anyway, and I'm going to shoot it, and it is going to die. Or, other way around, it's a full HP grunt, I shoot it, and it dies to my turrets, or it dies to a teammate, or I shoot it again and it dies. Who cares? I'm still saving ammo in the long run. Next is Turret Arc. Turret Arc is still a meme. It is definitely not a... It's still a... because it's an unstable, I don't feel good about putting into side grades, or else I would. But it's been buffed from F to D now, so it's a thing. If you want to run it, it's definitely still a meme. You have to corral the bugs into where you can. You have 10 seconds to start the corral process, or like build up your little place, whatever a swarm is called. Sometimes on point extract you don't even have that, but at that point you probably have an area set up. But like, you have 10 seconds to set up an area to use Turret Arc, or you're on one of the few missions where you can set up an area, and then you have to hope the bugs come through there, or your turrets do a thing. Yes, it is 15 meters of the like actual arc, and yes, it doesn't kill you anymore, but it's still not as good as Turret EM Discharge, which is B tier. Surprisingly enough, it's good. It's very good. If you haven't played with it, please do. It meets grunt breakpoints if you shoot your turret twice, and it triggers twice. It's just a good overclock. It makes the statics effect at whenever a grunt does get hit by it, and it lasts a decent chunk of time. It's a wonderful overclock. Next in wonderful overclocks, we have Fat Boy and Hyper Propellant. Hyper Propellant. So Fat Boy, let's start at Fat Boy and just kind of put Hyper Propellant back. Fat Boy is a very good overclock for PGL, and this thing is... people don't like it because it doesn't have enough ammo, and I just say, you have 3 shots. Use them wisely. And I will say that if you take it into Hazard 3, you're not going to be getting as much use if you take it into Hazard 4 or 5. Its best case scenario is Hazard 5, because that's where the most grunt swarms are coming. And that's where it laughs in a grunt's face, and that's where you nuke them. If you see a large wave of grunts, just nuke it. Or throw a plasma burster if it's a smaller wave of grunts than you want. And that's really that's Fat Boy in a nutshell, is it's good trash clear, and that's why I love it. Next is Hyper Propellant. Hyper Propellant is the opposite of Fat Boy. It doesn't do trash clear very well. It doesn't do it at all. But what it does do is single target damage is very well. It doesn't even kill a Praetorian in one shot, which is fine. That's whatever. But the problem is its ammo. That's really its sticking point, is you don't have enough to really use it on all Praetorians that you see, or all oppressors that... well, you can use it on probably all oppressors that you see. The problem is the fact of the matter is it's a high priority target killer. And there's already a lot of people who can take out high priority targets and have more ammo to do so with their weapon of choice of what they're going to be taking out that high priority target of. So building your weapon to have 13 shots of begone high priority target, I don't see the point of it when Scout has, 200 shots of begone high priority target. Next is Spinning Death. Spinning Death is for Breach Cutter. It's okay. It definitely did get buffed by not much, like literally not much. But it is still it's still an overclock. That's all I have to say. It changes up how you play with BC, and it's just good for fun factor. Do I think it's actually like belonging to anything else? No, it's still viable, but it's okay. Next on the dot, actually, it's definitely better than Inferno. Oh, poor Inferno. I'm still going to be moving Spinning Death next to it. It's... okay, so Inferno used to be F tier, used to be one of the worst overclocks in the game, but now it's not actually one of the worst overclocks in the game. It did definitely get buffed because now it doesn't have an ammo penalty on it. It's still just it's actually not even, like, it's a side grade at this point. It's for breach cutter as well, but it's something if you want to run, that's it. Again, it's a side grade. Is that all of NG's overclocks? Holy shit, that's all of NG's overclocks. Alright, well, there you go. We're now moving on to Driller, and with Driller, we have Fuel Stream Diffuser. It increases your operational range and, like, lowers your DPS, I think. It's a side grade. It's a meme. It increases your operational flamethrower range, and that's it. It's on the crisper. Who cares? Flow Rate Expansion. It's on the Cryolator. Okay? I guess. That's really all I have to say about it. These, like, overclocks that are side grades, I don't have a lot to talk about, and that's probably why they're there. Overclock's firing mechanism is definitely a C. I don't think it's the best of the best, but it's definitely not, like... I don't know. People do like it a lot. It increases your DPS by a lot, but your recoil by a lot as well. Who knows what it actually does. I don't like it that much. I don't play with it much. In fact, I only play with one overclock, and that is Bullets of Mercy. Bullets of Mercy is the best overclock on GK for a very good reason, and that's really it. It's just an overclock that's very boring to run. It's a very boring overclock. All of Scout's overclocks are mostly all boring, but it's still the best overclock on GK. Next is Active Stability System on M1. An overclock. It makes it so that you can move at full speed while focus firing. It's really its main noticeable point. People do like it. Okay, that's about it. The main very good overclock for M1 is Hipster. Hipster is now broken. Run Hipster. You can one-shot grunts in the face, or if you build Hipster a certain way, you can one-shot 4 grunts in the body with a focus shot. Run it, dude. There's no point in running anything else when Hipster exists. And that's really going to be evident in this tier list. Shaped Shells. Yeah, congratulations, Shaped Shells. You are, you're now just a side grade. You're good, but you're not good. Why would you ever build out a shotgun as a fucking weapon, dude? Why would you do it? Why would you build a sawed-off shotgun as a sniper rifle? I try to comprehend this whenever I was making this list. I don't understand. Never understand. I won't. Custom casings for the Zhukovs. Like mini GKs whenever you put this on there. That's all that you need. They're mini GKs. That's really it. Weren't we doing Driller overclocks? God damn it, we were doing Driller overclocks. Fuck it, we'll move on to Scout. Oh my god. Compact ammo for some gun. Who the fuck knows what it is? I'm so mind flooded now. It's a clean. So is gas rerouting, which I'm pretty sure is also on GK. It's an overclock. Homebrew Powder on Scout for GK. I want it gone or changed. Please get it away from me. Hoverclock. It's another mobility option for Scout. Why would you take another mobility option for Scout? I have no idea. But people like it. You can negate fall damage while you're on client side. It's really the only benefit of it. That's all that it is. That's it. All that I see it as, that's all I will ever see it as. Thank you for existing, Hoverclock. Next is Minimal Clips. Minimal Clips, update 33 would be like A tier, and now it's just been nerfed to clean overclocks. I'm sorry, GK. I'm sorry, M1. It's not me, it's you. Double Barrel. Double Barrel is for the boomstick. I want it removed. There is no point for it. Literally, a T2 overclock, or a T2 upgrade does almost the same exact thing, only without the negative. Which, it is a clean, and it has a negative. The negative is, anytime you pull the trigger, you spend 2 ammo at the moment, unless you cancel it, or something else. That's the negative. Compact Shells, it's also a clean. It gives you more ammo for boomstick. Who freaking cares? When Special Powder exists for Boomstick, Special Powder is really good. Again, it's another mobility option for Scout, which I don't see why you would ever take it, but it's very good for what it is. I've played with it. It is definitely on the S tier for fun, and I do enjoy it whenever it's a good egg mission, good point extract, good refinery mission, or like a mission in sandblasted caverns. All those things, I'm having a blast with this thing. It's a great overclock. I love it. It's still redundant for what Scout is, but it's still good. Shape Shells. Shape Shells is one of the best for... it's not the best, but it is definitely one of the best for Boomstick. Boomstick really has a problem of just being kind of a boring weapon in general for anything, because you just make it boom more, and there's no, like, fun things for it, like, hey, thing. Who knows? Next is Minimal Magazines. That's for Zhukovs. Again, it's a fucking clean, so who cares about it when there's other things to run? AI Stability Engine. So AI Stability Engine is another very good one for GK. Again, I think Bullets of Mercy beats it out for what Bullets of Mercy does. It's a balance, so it doesn't have as much of a negative as AI Stability Engine 4. AI Stability Engine requires you to be precise aimed for a lot. Meanwhile, M1 just requires you to be perfect aim once. So why would you want to fire 3 bullets when you can only fire 1? When you could just fire 1. I think there's a simple answer there. That's why AI Stability Engine is bad. No, it's not bad. It's okay. It just loses out against Bullets of Mercy, because if Bullets of Mercy hits a weak point and stuns within the first 3 shots, it'll do more damage than AI Stability Engine on that creature. And that's just how it is. AI Stability Engine, you're good still. I don't like you. Recoil's a fun thing, and you remove it. Embedded Detonators for excuse me, that's not Embedded Detonators, that's Electrifying Reload. You've been buffed. You are no longer F tier, you are now C tier. Congratulations, Electrifying Reload. If you shoot a grunt in the face and then reload with GK, you'll kill the grunt. I'm glad for that. You know what? Have fun. I don't like you. Ever. I won't play with you. Ever. But you're still good. Oh. Drinking water, dude. You should never drink water. Electric Focus Shots. Electric Focus Shots is in a very weird place because nothing happened to it. Literally almost nothing happened to it. Yet it's now kind of bad because of general M1 changes. That's why it got nerfed, is because general M1 changes nerfed it. Nothing happened to the overclock itself, it's just base changes, changed up the overclock, so now you can do what it could have done, only now you can do it with other overclocks. And that's why I'm sorry to say, Electric Focus Shots, you're now in D tier. The world's changing around you and you need to realize it. Next up on the list is Supercooling Chamber. It's a sniper rifle. Aha. Next up on the list is Jumbo Shells. Jumbo Shells is a boring overclock for Boomstick. It makes your gun go bang harder. Literally all it does. I don't like it. Cryo Minelets. Cryo Minelets is now very good. It used to be good. Yeah, it used to be just okay, and now it's very good. I don't think it's S tier because it could be S tier or A tier. Excuse me. I'm gonna fight with myself this entire time. Cryo Minelets went from having a 70% chance to detonate to a 100% chance, which why would they ever do that for an overclock? I have no idea. I'm not talking about like the 100% chance. I'm more talking about like even giving it a chance to fail to detonate. There's a potential to get 0 value when you fire a whole clip. Yes, it is literally astronomically almost impossible to get that, but there's a chance. And I don't think that should happen. if you have to do something to, if you have to like random roll for your overclock to work, I don't like it. Then again, I look at Homebrew Powder and it's in B tier as well, which confuses me a lot. But it's listen, you don't have as many negatives and your bonuses are good. Okay, moving on to embedded detonators. Congratulations, you're very good at single target damage. You're like literally the best at single target damage. I hope you have fun, and I don't think I need to explain why it's an A tier. If I do, well, we'll talk about it. Gas recycling. It's okay, I think. I'm not too sure. It's probably one of the good ones for Zhukov's, but Zhukov's is such a shit weapon that it's kind of just there. Yeah, that's really about it. Is that... Oh god, that's all for it's all for Scout. Hey, we did Scout before Driller. What? Why? I don't know, dude. Maybe it's because it's an ungodly amount of time in the day and I went door to door trying to fucking get a lawn care service going, and I've taken pain medication. I need help, dude. Moving on to Driller. We have compact feed valves. It gives you ammo for flamethrower or something. Something like that. It's okay. It's not good. It's not the best. It's just okay. And that seems to be the, like, here, let me just, there you go. Okay. That's what we get. Next is Ice Spear. Dude, I have no idea what this thing does. You press R on the cryolator and you shoot out a spear for big boy damage. If you want a thing gone, you take Ice Spear. It might be good for like Praetorians or all that. Okay, because you're doing that, I'm gonna move you down to okay tier. Nah. That's compact feed valves. Congratulations. You're now in B tier. Ice Spear. You like spend 70 ammo to send out a spear of ice. That does big boy damage. I actually have no idea how much damage you do. I do know that you are good. Are you that good, though? Just who cares? Let's just continue going. I want this to go. Oversized magazine. Oversized magazine is okay for Sabata. Sabata has a problem of it not having very good overclocks, and the good overclocks on it are kind of boring, like Trank rounds. Very good overclock. It does not make the gun feel good, though. Oversized magazine makes it so that Sabata is now a carpal tunnel simulator, and that's what overclocked oversized magazine. My eyeballs are starting to melt into my eyes, and I need help. Heat pipe. There you go, heat pipe. Congratulations. Look at what update 34 has done to you. Thin containment field is the only reason for you to exist. Thin containment field is now, it's very hard to work with you. For, like, Flying Nightmare and all that, you're probably good, but from what you used... Okay, listen. Okay, let's first talk about Heavy Hitter. Heavy Hitter is a very good overclock that people do like for EPC. I don't like it as much as the other people. I still know its place. I just don't like it. I run a clean on EPC. So, Heat Pipe, congratulations, you've been talked into D tier, you're okay, but you're not A tier anymore, because your relation to Thin Containment Field got shot. So, that's why you're there. Congratulations on being whatever. Next, oh, we're done with Balanced. We're now on to, well, no, we have one more Balanced, which is Tuned Cooler. Tuned Cooler is still top shit of King Mountain. That's all that I need to say about it. It was top shit of King Mountain before, it's still top shit of King Mountain now. Next is Homebrew Powder. Thank you for my TED Talk. Next is Lighter Tanks. It's more ammo for the flamethrower. It's a clean. Magnetic Cooling. It's for EPC. It's also a clean. Improved Thermal Efficiency. It's also clean. It's like probably up there with Perfectly Tuned Cooler, but it is for Cryolator. It gives you like more ammo. Cryolator doesn't need ammo. That's why it's just clean. Chain Hit. It's also just a clean. It's for Sabata. Just a clean. Sticky Additives. Because it's okay. It's a clean, but it is okay. It's definitely, you could do better, but it's okay. Energy rerouting. I honestly think it's the best overclock on EPC, but that's because I'm probably a maniac. It just gives you slightly more ammo and slightly more charge speed, and that's why I like it. Its relation to Thin Containment Field didn't get nerfed, and its relation to Flying Nightmare and all that just got significantly better. But that's probably because it's a clean. In any case, it belongs in top shit of King Mountain. Magnetic cooling unit. Did we do this already? Yeah, we did. Go next to your brother, you weirdo. Why are you here? I don't know why. Sticky fuel. Sticky fuel is definitely one of the best overclock. It's definitely a very good overclock on the crisper. It's one of the ways to build crisper, because there's two ways to build it. There is sticky fuel, or there is direct damage. Sticky fuel is definitely one way to build it, and it belongs in A tier. I don't like the playstyle it promotes, which is sitting around and waiting for bugs to die, but it is still a very good overclock, and its negatives far outreach, or its positives far outreach its negatives. As you can see, I'm rushing through this. I wanna go to bed. Explosive reload on Sabata. Sabata doesn't have as much doesn't have as much fire rate as Zukov's do, but it is still a very good overclock if you haven't tried it. I don't think it's the best overclock, but then again, it's still very good. None of Sabata's overclocks are going to be A tier because they're all garbage. They're so boring. That's my problem with Sabata, is that it's just a boring gun. And this makes it a little bit more fun, but it's still fine. You get A tier because you're a good overclock, alright? Ice Storm. It's okay. Not good. It's for Cryolator. It like reduces your ammo by a lot, but gives you like direct. It's basically better. It is a direct damage flamethrower with ice potential, which makes it good, but it is definitely runs into ammo problems more than Face Melter will, and that's why it's an A tier or okay tier. Snowball. So Scout. It's a cryo grenade. It's a Scout cryo grenade. And Scout Cryo Grenade is okay. Congratulations, you're also okay. Automatic Fire. Automatic Fire has been buffed by update 34 in T3 Sabata. You can take the recoil compensation, and it makes it basically almost a laser beam. It's very good. If you haven't tried it, its DPS is insane. I actually really like Automatic Fire. It's very. I'm just gonna put it in B tier because it's definitely not Explosive Reload. I'll put it there. Explosive Reload, it like halves your ammo. This one does not. It's very good. Trank rounds. The problem with trank rounds is that it makes your gun feel very. It makes it feel bad. It did get buffed. So I might be overstaying its welcome. But it definitely, whenever I played with it pre-update 34, it's a weapon. It's definitely a gun. It's like one of the longest stuns in the game, but it makes my gun feel bad, so be unhappy. Overcharger. Overcharger got buffed. Is now in relation with Flying Nightmare and all that. Definitely did get buffed, and it is very good now with Flying Nightmare. It's one of the ways to build Flying Nightmare, and that for that reason alone, it goes in B tier. Persistent Plasma also got buffed. Did it get buffed to the extent of Overcharger or anything else? No, it's now like, it got buffed with Explosive Goodbye, basically. It's okay. You can use it within Containment Field, and it's just okay. I don't think it's like the best or the worst. It's definitely existing. And then Face Melter. Face Melter belongs also in A tier because of just, it's good. It's very good. It's so fun to play with now, and I love it. It's direct damage. It's got buffed in update 34, and I am trying to fight God at the current moment. I need to go to bed, but that's the tier list. I sped through it at like Scout and Driller, and you guys have a good night. Yeah.